Hello, everyone. This is Alan Whitford from RCEURO.com, bringing you another in our series of RCEURO's Thought Leader Conversations. Today, we're honored to have Michelle Ria calling us from Stockholm. Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I'm good.
That's great. Michelle is the founder of Social Honesty. We've met at a few conferences around Europe in the last year or two, and Michelle is joining us at Social Recruiting Conference 2011 on the 30th of June in London, where she's taking part in one of the panels on social recruiting. Michelle, for those of our viewers and listeners who may not know much about you, why don't you just give me a quick update on who you are and what it is that you actually do?
Yeah. Well, my background is mainly within the recruiting and job advertising space. So I worked with a company called Universum Communications, where we worked with global employer branding. And then I became part owner in Sweden's largest job search engine, and then started Social Honesty.
Fantastic. Now, social honesty, I'm guessing that has to do around the whole area of social networking. Is it only related to recruitment and HR, or is it deal with other areas as well?
No, we're only focusing on HR actually.
Okay. Now, for some of our listeners, they might think she's not sounding very Swedish. Where were you from originally?
I'm originally from Orange County, California.
So you're the reason they started the OC.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's great to have you with us. Now, we're going to talk about social recruiting, obviously, at the conference, among other things around direct sourcing and direct recruiting. How do you see things in Sweden at the moment? Are companies really embracing the idea of recruiting directly themselves and using the social tools?
They are. They're getting a little bit more advanced and catching up to a lot of the other countries around the world, but we've definitely been lagging all of the Nordic countries. So you start to see a lot of companies understanding now why, at least, they should be working with social recruiting and now have moved on to the how, but there's still a majority of them out there still understanding the why. So there's a lot of work to be done with the companies.
So I find this quite surprising because having been involved in online recruitment since its inception here in Europe and the Scandinavian countries were really very early in the game of online recruitment. Stepstone was founded in Scandinavia as one of the early job boards, for example. You know, the penetration of the internet and broadband was so far ahead of where we are here, say in the UK and the rest of sort of mainland Europe. Why the lag between being there with online recruitment and not sort of embracing what seems to be the next logical step?
Well, I think it was more the entrepreneurs out there many years ago that were leading the online recruitment space. But now you have all of the HR organizations inside of the corporations, and they have a little bit of a different mindset than those entrepreneurs working with, online media. So I don't know, actually. It's the same thing with the mobile. This is a heavy concentrated mobile region. The Swedes have 1.2 mobiles, I think, per person. So, but we're still very behind on mobile recruiting as well. So I just think in general, it takes HR in the Nordic countries a couple years to adapt to the technologies and the processes out there.
Do you think some of it might also be the sort of differing ways that we do recruiting? For example, in the UK, there's a large reliance on recruitment consultancies, recruitment advertising agencies, and those two types of organizations have always been early adopters of new technology, new ways of sourcing candidates. So they've kind of led the early charge in some aspects of social, particularly LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Is the recruiting in Sweden done more by the HR department itself rather than going out to third parties?
It's actually not. It's the same in the UK. You don't have the recruitment agencies or the recruitment advertising agencies like you do in the UK and the US, but there's a couple of them, but they're not as advanced, you could say. But we are very much relying on the recruitment agencies, the third parties. So, and those have been the ones that have been my initial customers at Social Honesty. So they are the early adapters. It's just that the early adapters were quite a bit later. The early was quite a bit later than the UK and the US. But yeah, those are the ones working with, for example, the LinkedIn Enterprise Solutions and so on.
Right, and you've been helping to introduce LinkedIn more effectively for recruiting in Sweden, is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. So Social Honesty is LinkedIn's only partner in Scandinavia, and we represent the hiring solutions, or their only partner within the hiring solution space.
Right, okay, very interesting. Now, are there other social networks other than what we might call the big three of LinkedIn, Facebook, and then microblogging site Twitter? There local networks, or is it really the majors?
It's really the majors. There's, of course, the niche networks out there in specific industries, but the Nordic regions definitely have adapted to the big three.
Now, it's interesting, when I was speaking with Wolfgang, who will also be on one of the panels at SRConf, in Germany, obviously you have Zing as a sort of a national network, but it really is only used for recruiting pretty much within Germany. And if a company is doing international recruiting, they immediately turn to LinkedIn. Are you seeing LinkedIn used both for domestic recruiting needs as well as those companies that are looking for international roles?
Absolutely. Both on a local level and on a global level. So it's LinkedIn is definitely advantage when it comes to global recruiting.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. Now, I'm guessing that maybe Facebook hasn't jumped ahead quite as fast as it might have, say, in the U.S. As a recruiting tool.
Yeah, no, it hasn't. There are some companies out there with their well, I would say employer branding pages with some job listings on there, and it's definitely becoming more and more popular. But it's the same as LinkedIn and social recruiting in general. It's lagged, but it's coming now. It's definitely coming.
Starting to come. And what about the sort of what we might call the adoption of technology? You know, the ATS, candidate management systems. Is that pretty standard in the corporate universe, if you will, or is that still coming along also?
We're very behind there as well. We in Scandinavia we have actually gone more with our local ATS providers. And there are some big companies that have the large ones, but many of the companies have used the more local providers. And those providers are definitely lacking in powerful applicant tracking systems, you could say, and integrating social plugins and things like that for the companies.
Right, and I'm guessing if they're, you know, the small, more local providers, it's quite an expense to actually put together the development team to do the integrations, and they have to look at the marketplace and say, well, if not that many people are using social yet, where's our return to develop those tools? Yeah. So what about you? What do you got? What are you up to next? Have you got some more things that you guys are bringing out at Social Honesty?
Yeah, we are. We're launching our own product called Social Recruiter, which will be launched in the next few weeks. And basically, that is a system that will help companies automate and socialize their employee referral programs.
Now that's interesting. So employee referral, is that a major source of hiring in Scandinavia?
It is. It's 70% of all hires in Scandinavia are done through referrals.
Wow. 70, not 17. 70.
Yeah.
That's huge. That is absolutely huge.
Yeah. So networking is key and referrals are key. People trust their networks here.
So it would seem that the networking piece is actually working before the advent of social networks. We already had my network that I'm going to use to help improve my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, is this networking almost in what we might call the old sense of networking? And I say that because I did a presentation a couple of weeks ago to a group of accountants about networking, and one guy said, I didn't think we were going to be hearing about Facebook and LinkedIn. I thought we were going to talk about meetings and getting together. That's networking.
No, I think the Swedes, I mean, they have a really big presence on Facebook. Over half of the population in Sweden is on Facebook, actually. I think it's 4.3 million, and we're a population of 9.1 now. So they have definitely adapted to the networking concept on the sites.
Right.
But they also believe in, of course, the traditional networking out there. as well.
Right. Fantastic. I still can't get over this 70% number. That's it's just enormous.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's just
huge.
enormous. Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
so I want to help them automize it and streamline it and help them save money and also just integrate the whole entire social aspect of it.
well, I think that'll be a good thing for us to make sure that we talk about when you're here on the panel, because Matt Jeffrey, the former head of recruiting at EA, is over at Autodesk now. I mean, he's been talking about networking and using tools for years. I think it's we should get some really good conversation going because he's got a European remit, and he knows the challenges at different parts of Europe as well. So,
Yeah,
if you can get that sort of number as a corporate HR and recruiting person, I'm going to be thinking, God, that's the most cost-effective way for me to do this.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Everybody will be able to share jobs in any language on Social Recruiter,
Yep.
so it can be adapted in any country.
Fantastic. So
Yeah,
the start of the small empire growing larger through social.
exactly.
Perfect. Well, Michelle, it's been great having you with us today. How can people find you? What's the best way for them to track you down?
Michelle Ria on Twitter, and then Facebook.com/social honesty is the best way.
Okay, and the website is socialhonesty.com as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Great. And of course, they can come along to a Social Recruiting Conference in London on the 30th of June, and they can meet you face to face and actually find out more about Social Recruiter. I'm sure we're going to talk a bit about it on the day.
Perfect.
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks, Michelle.
Jeff.
Have a good day.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.